Hello everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. I hope that you're having a fantastic day. My name is Zach Lewandowski. This is Boneheaded Sports, and today we're going to be recapping Thursday night football last night and previewing some of the week 1 games coming up Sunday. And thank you for coming. Love to have you. We'd love for you to stick around, share, um, subscribe on YouTube, and we're gonna jump right in. The Thursday night between the Chargers and the Chiefs won 27 to 24. Now, in my opinion, before I get everything stated, or before we dive into this game more, I believe that the Chargers played better than the Chiefs, but the Chiefs came out with the win because of Patrick Mahomes. And in my full belief, Keenan Allen would have made the difference enough for the Chargers to pull out this game. Going at one point, the Chargers were up 17 to 7, and then the Chiefs scored 20 unanswered points. And basically, the Chiefs scored with 3 minutes left, and that put it within or out of arm's reach of the Chargers. Now, they did score a touchdown, brought it to a 3-point game, but unfortunately did not get the onside kick. Now this game was meant a lot. It might not mean a lot right now, but at the end of the season, if it comes down to a head-to-head matchup, this game is going to be important because we all expect the AFC West to be really close. No matter what happens this Sunday, the Chiefs have a two-score lead, not a two-game lead. They're in the lead of the division and are looking pretty good right now. Looking great. Haven't missed a beat without Tyreek Hill. Last night their offense did hit a little bit of a flat line, but the Chargers couldn't capitalize off of it. They only they only scored 20. They need to score more than 24 points to beat the Chiefs. That's just how it is. Um, Justin Herbert, I think it came out that he had a fractured rib and he's day to day for next week. As of right now, he's practicing, but obviously not with a red non-contact jersey. Um, and they're monitoring his status, and it's questionable for him to play next week. And also, Patrick Mahomes got almost beat up a little bit. We saw him limping a little bit after a hit, but looked fine for the rest of the game. And overall, I didn't get to watch the first quarter, but the game was it was a good game. It was close. It was felt like anybody's game except until the end of the fourth, until the Chiefs pulled away. And it was a great watch. It was on Thursday. It was on Prime Video, which is what we're gonna have to get used to now for Thursday night football. It's commentated by Kirk Herbstreit, Al Michaels. What a ov- weird duo, but it works. It was very entertaining to watch. And overall, congrats for the Chiefs. Good job, Patrick Mahomes. But I think overall the Chargers were playing better for like 90% of the game, which against the Chiefs, the last 10% is all that matters. And as a Bills fan, I know that very well. 13 seconds. But anyway, um, final thoughts. Again, if Keenan Allen was in this game, I think the Chargers win. But Mike Williams did have a good game. He had 113 yards, a touchdown. I think he had 8 receptions, 10 targets, 113 yards, a touchdown. His one touchdown catch was it was he was running to the end zone, turned around and caught it with one hand like he was cradling a baby. Very amazing catch, very out of this world, which that's what seems to happen with Mike Williams. Either it's an amazing game or it's like his week 1 game where he didn't really do anything. Um, and that's just the Mike Williams experience. So on to the NFL Week 1 preview. The first matchup we're gonna preview is the Jets versus Cleveland. I expect this game to be close. I hope. I don't know. I think that all depends on Joe Flacco. Because if Joe Flacco plays well, I think the Jets have. I think the I think the Jets have about the same amount of quarterback talent. Jacoby Brissett and Joe Flacco are very close to each other. Cleveland has the better overall talent, maybe the better coaching. So, the I think the Browns will should win this game, but I'm picking the Jets to win this game. Other than that, don't really have much to say. Zach Wilson was playing. I would pick the Jets 99% of the time. Um, but you have Joe Flacco, and yeah. Next game, I'm a little bit more interested. Washington at Detroit. Based off of what we saw last week, this game should be pretty good. The Detroit almost came back and beat the Eagles, which I'm really high on, and the Commanders looked pretty good against the Jaguars. But it is the Jaguars, so take it with a grain of salt. But Carson Wentz looked pretty good. He did have 2 interceptions, but he also had like 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. So Carson Wentz looks good. This is probably the best receiving room he's ever had. Antonio Gibson played really well last week. And I think what would really win this game is the Commanders' offense is probably more talented, at least until the Lions get Jamison Williams back from that ACL. And I think the Commanders come out. They start 2-0, shock everybody, go 2-0. And it's kind of going against my Lions agenda, but based off of what I saw last week, I kind of feel like the Commanders are going to be that sneaky good team that like could sneak into the playoffs now that Dallas is basically out. Because Dak Prescott got injured, I think that the Commanders could sneak into like the 7th seed of the playoffs, and if everything goes right, and they still have Chase Young to come back. So it's the Commanders. It's nothing but it. Hopefully, looking good for them right now, at least in their mind, probably. But I'm gonna make sure you keep an eye on that one. Should be really close, really interesting. I don't think any team is superior, like vastly superior than the other, and watch out for that. On to the next game, Tampa at New Orleans. I'm actually picking New Orleans to win. Um, Tampa has the better quarterback, but Chris Godwin's out. Julio Jones is questionable. Mike Evans is questionable. And I think that the Saints roster is better, but the Bucks have a better quarterback. But in Tom Brady's tenure as a Buccaneers quarterback, that doesn't seem to matter. They Tom Brady is winless against the Saints in his time there, and I think that continues. I think the Saints figure out a way to pull. They kind of have momentum coming off of that fourth quarter from last week. Michael Thomas is finally getting back into this groove. Jarvis Landry looked really good last week. They still have Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara, and the Saints team is looking good. And I think they're going to beat the Buccaneers this week and take the lead in the division for the time being. Next up, Carolina at the Giants. Um, I think the Giants are going to win. I think that they're better coached. I think Daniel Jones and Baker Mayfield I think Baker Mayfield's better than Daniel Jones, but I think not by a significant margin. I think Saquon's back. He looked really good last week. And I think the coaching is overall, and the defense of the Giants looked good last week. So I think overall, the coaching is what this game is going to come down to, and I think the Giants have a better head coach in Brian Daboll. Um, Not me pushing my Saquon fantasy agenda at all, but I think he's going to have a good day. Brian Daboll seems to be able to scheme up ways for him to get a lot of yards. Sorry, I heard some noises. Now on to the next game. Pittsburgh at New England. I think Pittsburgh wins this game. Um, I think that just the talent on New England is not there, and I think that it's very clear last week what we saw, what they looked like against the Dolphins. And I just think the Steelers have the better talent. Minka Fitzpatrick looked good. Mitchell Trubisky looked better than Mac Jones last week. That's for sure. Also, but also Najee Harris should be back, which is big for the Steelers. And I just think in every aspect except coaching, the Steelers are better on paper. And I picked them to start 2-0. Never thought I would say that. Next up, Indy at Jacksonville. I think this is the game that Indy bounces back from their Texans tie. And Jacksonville definitely isn't the best team, and I think the Colts obviously are better. But I think that the Colts win this game. Um, I think that Matt Ryan has a good performance. I think it's close because somehow the Jags always seem to play a close game against Indy in Jacksonville. But I think by some odd reason, other than the fact that I think the Indy's better, Jacksonville, it's definitely possible that they win this game based on Indy always somehow starting slow. They never won a week one over out through with Frank Reich, and I just think that it might be closer than I think it will be, but I think the Colts should be able to edge out Jacksonville in the end. And I'm picking Indianapolis to win. Next is Miami versus Baltimore. I think that Baltimore is going to dog walk, not dog walk, but I think in my mind it's pretty easily going to be the Ravens winning this game. I think that their defense is going to expose Tua. They're going to take away Tyreek Hill, make him beat them, and I don't think he can. And the Ravens' offense looked good last week against the Jets, and the Jets, I know it's the Jets, but they have a good defense. And I think that Lamar just comes out, John Harbaugh comes out, their defense comes out, and just beats them in every aspect. It might be a little bit closer game, but I think that Baltimore wins by a touchdown. Um, I don't think that. I think the Ravens get up early and never really let go of the lead. Now that might be super controversial, but that's just how I feel. I'm not a Tua believer. Um, in my opinion, if Tua was better, um, they would have beat the Patriots last week by more than 13 points. They had many opportunities to, and I think that Baltimore wins this not easily, but pretty comfortably. On to with the start of the 4 o'clock slot, we have Atlanta at LA. I think this is a bounce back game for LA. I think they beat the Falcons pretty easily. Better quarterback, basically better in every position group except tight end, probably. And I feel very comfortable saying that. It all just depends on if the Rams the Rams bounce back after last week. They lost to the Bills pretty badly, and it depends on if Matt Stafford's able to come back and perform good enough to beat the Falcons, which shouldn't take much, but I think that he should be able to manage that. Now, I don't really want to say too much on the 4 o'clock slot isn't really too exciting. Um, Seattle at San Francisco, I think, this game could be interesting considering what that Seattle beat the Broncos last week. Um, I think that with Trey Lance, it's close. Maybe he comes out and looks better than last week, but the veteran quarterback most sometime will give you the edge. Maybe not in this scenario, but I think this game's close. I think the 49ers just overall talent like will beat will get them the win over the 49ers, or not the 49ers. The 49ers the win over the Seahawks. And I don't think that's unreasonable to say. Um I think Trey Lance looks better than he did last week, but the forecast is calling for heavy rain again, which if you're Trey Lance, you're probably not super excited about that. You probably just want a normal ass game. But I think that they come out pretty like beat the Seahawks. The Geno Smith hype kind of dies down a little bit. Um, and the Trey Lance hate and like people dogging on Trey Lance hopefully ceases. Cincinnati at Dallas. This game was a lot more interesting when the Cowboys had Dak Prescott. Even then, I would have picked the Bengals to win, but now that they don't have Dak Prescott, I'm picking the Bengals to win by probably two touchdowns. The Dallas defense looked kind of mid. You could run all over him. Trayvon Diggs is hit like a he's either a home run or gets burnt. No in between. And their offense with Dak looked really bad, and with Cooper Rush, I believe it's gonna look even worse. Um, I think Cincinnati bounces back from their Pittsburgh game. I don't think this game's close. I think Cincy wins pretty comfortably. Houston at Denver, same sort of situation where Denver had an embarrassing loss. Russell Wilson did look good, but they just had some red zone trouble. And I think this is a bounce back game for Denver. I think, yeah, Minnesota or the Texans had a good tie, but I think Russell Wilson is able to hype this team up and get them to win over the Texans. I just think that there's too much talent for the Broncos to not beat the Texans. Well, I said that about the Seahawks, so who knows? But I think that they don't let that happen again. They come out with the win against the Texans. Now, a really interesting game, Arizona at Las Vegas, both teams that lost week 1, and it's the battle of the which team is going to start 0 and 2. And unfortunately, I think that's the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals lose this game. They did not look good last week. They have the worst defense, and I think that the Raiders come out and prove that they're still in the AFC West race, or at least the AFC playoff race. Um, Derek Carr was okay. Devontae looked great last week against a good Chargers defense, and the Cardinals defense, which is significantly worse, I think he'll do just as good, if not better, which is crazy to say because he had like 140 yards or something last week. And I just think that the Raiders come out, bounce back after the week 1 loss, prove to people that they're still a good team. Maybe not gonna challenge the Chiefs for the winning of the division, but I think they come out and still are a really good team. Beat the Cardinals, and sadly the Cardinals fall to 2-0. Now the Sunday, I don't know why this is a Sunday night game. I don't I don't get what they do. They should schedule like the Raiders Cardinals should be the Sunday night game, not Packers Bears. I feel like that's pretty clear on why. The Packers are way better than the Bears are. Even though the Bears won last week, it was very extravagant circumstances. It was a monsoon outside. Um, and I think the Packers pretty comfortably win this game. I don't think it's close. I don't know why this is a Sunday night game. It's not gonna be interesting to watch. Like it's football, I'll watch it, but it's whatever, really, honestly. Monday night we have two good games. We have the Titans at the Bills. It's the Bills home opener. I think the Bills win this. Based on how they looked against the Rams, which I think the Rams looked want or not the Rams. I think Buffalo looked good against the Rams, and they're a better team in my opinion than the Titans. The only thing I'm worried about is Derrick Henry because somehow he always seems to run all over the Bills. Um, but I think the Bills come out, show again that they're really, really like one of the best teams in the NFL, and people will start questioning what's going on with the Titans. Derrick Henry looked okay last week. He didn't look like he had that explosiveness in his step. Um, Maybe he'll get that back. Who knows? But I think Buffalo wins this game. And last game of the week, I know I don't talk super much about this. I like to do longer in seeing after the games, because then we can see what really happened and dive into it. So last games, this is probably my game of the week. Minnesota at Philadelphia. I There's a lot of interesting storylines here. AJ Brown did really good last week. Justin Jefferson did amazing last week. Both of the Eagles defense looked kind of mid against. I mean, they let up 35 points to the Lions. The Vikings new head coach Kevin O'Connell looked really good. Um, they look well coached, and I think that the Vikings come out and win this game. I think it's close. I think it's very interesting, but I think the Vikings managed to pull this off. Honestly, the only reason is Justin Jefferson and how good Justin Jefferson is. He's just that kind of player that can win you a game by himself, because that's basically what he did against the Packers, and they arguably have a better corner room than the Eagles. And I think that the Vikings come out. Kirk Cousins tries, like, he can't really beat the narrative in one game, but is making a step towards beating the narrative that he cannot perform on prime time. And I think he comes out, and the Eagles, or not the Eagles, the Vikings look really good. It's a very close game, but the Vikings edge out the Eagles on Monday Night Football. Um, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all for coming out. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow on TikTok, Twitter. We're on Spotify and iTunes. Make sure you have a great rest of your day. Share with your family, and peace out.